Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Valley Economic Alliance's Pathway to Profits Sales Strategies for Growth. Today, we are featuring three amazing speakers on topics like networking and technology solutions to help companies exponentially grow their sales. I am Erica Gass, Valley Economic Alliance VP of Operations. Please feel free to introduce yourself in our chat. I'd like to thank our sponsor today, Wells Fargo, for allowing us to have this webinar, and I'd like to introduce our MC for today's webinar, who's also our Vice Chair of the Valley Economic Alliance, Armida Colmenares-Stafford. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to this wonderful event. Thank you to our speakers for being here and taking time out of their busy schedule, and to all of you that have signed up and are joining us today for this important presentation. I will tell you, as Erica said, I am actually wearing a couple of hats today. One of them sharing a little bit about the Valley Economic Alliance. It is a collaboration of government, nonprofit, and business leaders working together to promote the economic development of the 5 cities in the San Fernando region that we have. And with that, we cover includes Burbank, Calabasas, Glendale in the San Fernando Valley, city of LA. Now we do that. Our goal is to help employers grow, job seekers connect to training and jobs, develop and connect to various parcels in the Valley, to redevelop, and visitors to connect with attractions, amenities, and local shoppings in our area. If you own and would like to help get some help to reach profitability and grow, then we welcome you to enroll in our business assistance program. And then Erica, if you can drop the information for our site, you'll be great. You'll see, I personally have met individuals that really need the benefits and can benefit from joining our business program. And it really has gone a long way in helping them. And we see them from a burning and ready to close their business to getting the assistance from our business technical center and assistance program to now that they're successful and thriving, and it's all to the Valley Economic Alliance. So thank you and join us on that. The other hat is also the chair of United Chambers of Commerce. This is my 4th year as chair. And some of the things I want to speak about the chambers, joining a chamber can help the businesses turn around sales and marketing and promoting. What we did see, the chambers will work in being very involved with the legislators in promoting and helping policies and procedures that help businesses. But they're also very good at promoting you, marketing you, the businesses, and really having those network events to focus in getting things done. We're very good too at working with other business organizations, including we work very close with the Valley Economic Alliance, since we have a similar goal in how to help businesses and be a united voice for the Valley. I think it really helps getting that done. In particular, through this COVID particular time, the chambers were a strong voice in helping businesses, providing educational seminars. We know a lot of businesses had to switch the way we do business, be more innovative in the way we did things, from a legal part, from a marketing part, from a strategic part. So they were really able to help organize a lot of the educational part itself. If you are a member of a chamber, you automatically become a member of United Chambers as well. And we, through United Chambers, really have a united voice. We represent about 154,000 businesses in the Valley. I am very vocal working with the mayor's office in sharing what businesses need, what is it that they're looking for, what's the strength, what's the weaknesses, including, again, when we're going through COVID, asking for money, asking for additional money for the chambers who are the ones that were, one of the hubs that we could go ahead and deliver the message that the mayor had, and also asking for additional grant for small businesses. So as you can see, we really focus quite a bit in trying to get a lot of those things done for the business. So through the benefits of being in the chamber, again, it's exposure in person and electronically. They have well-attended events. They're very popular with the social media sites. And they work, again, the goal through is how to partnership, shop local, and promote the businesses in our area, so we can have a stronger business community in getting and having the valley continuing to progress. So that's kind of in the nutshell from the Valley Economics and United Chambers. And for me personally, it works beautifully being part of both organizations. One, I'm able to see what we could do through the chamber, and the Valley Economics going a direct impact with the small business that we have in need. So that's a bit about what we do. Oh, and on my regular job, I'm a banker. So they all fit in nicely. So I am first vice chair of Pacific Premier Bank out of Encino office. I've been a banker all my life. I still love very much what I do, but I think what keeps me going is being part of organizations as wonderful as Valley Economic Alliances, United Chambers, because it all fits nicely on what we do. So with that, again, thank you everyone for being here. At this point, it is my pleasure to go ahead and introduce you our first speaker, who will go ahead and discuss about, accelerate sales and receivables. So it will be Larry Talley. He's the founder and CEO of Everyware. Leadership and sales executive with over 20 years of experience developing new businesses, turning around companies, growing revenue, leading sales teams, increasing market share, and growing the bottom line, which is so crucial to do. He's a hands-on executive with the success in startups, turnarounds, acquisitions, restructuring, repositioning, and turnaround situations. His focus now is building a high motivated, creative, performance-based company focused on achieving top and bottom line results. Enjoys working with like-minded people who are passionate about what they do. Everywhere is a leading contactless payment and customer engagement solution company. Launched in 2015, Everywhere provides a feature-rich, high-secure payment and engagement ecosystem, including countless online and in-person payments, and two-way communication, along with system customization and integration that is scalable across all various platforms. Everywhere is paving the way with innovation and revolutionary ideas. That is so crucial, especially nowadays, to have that in place. They announced a collaboration with Visa, the world leader in digital payments, to offer network token management services for payment processors. Everywhere is leveraging Token ID as a Visa solution. And for more information, you can visit everywhere.com or follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And with that, take it away, Larry.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for the Valley for having me. It's definitely excited to listen in and learn more about what's going on and keeping up to date. So I really appreciate the insight there. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right, excellent. So, thank you again for that introduction. I know there was a lot said there, but just to unpack it, and really to simplify, Everywhere is a payments company that has really simplified the collection of money through the ability to pay by text. And pay by text, really, you could also say pay by mobile. It's one of the most convenient things that we utilize every day, is that ability to text message. So I think it made a lot of sense when I was building out Everywhere, was to apply the other thing that we do a lot, which is pay bills, both sending and receiving money as well. So building out Everywhere in itself really, resides on those two things really working together hand in hand, which is communication and payments. And what I find is that basically if you pay for something, having that ability to quickly get a hold of someone if there's an issue, being more or less a crisis management platform, has been shown to be really powerful, especially throughout, the pandemic situations where you want to basically be able to broadcast or get in touch with someone. We find that, text conversations is something that we're all just very much accustomed to, and it's really taking over, our daily lives, and so to speak. For the brief amount of time that I have, I'll touch upon the benefits as, for you, the merchant, some of the key industries and use cases that we're solving for, and ultimately just showcasing, our product in general. You also find with our product, in addition to, our MVP, you're also going to see that we're also a full service payments provider. So we have the ability to support, all payment channels, whether it's your e-commerce website, your point of sale face-to-face, or, one of our premier products is the ability to pay by text. The one thing that you'll see that's really unique about our product, and you heard it there, was the network token. The network token maybe doesn't mean a ton to you, but really what it does is it basically lowers interchange, the cost of a typical transaction. It's one way that the card networks basically really caught up to this moment in time, knowing that a piece of plastic in our pocket really is not that safe. I can still give it to just about anyone today to go transact with. But ultimately creating that tether, having that card connected to your cell phone number, that's been shown to actually reduce fraud, mitigate risk, and actually make it much more powerful when you apply a payment transaction. So our system is set up where you can actually text back. So it's two-way, it's conversational, which is also important to know because we've all experienced getting a short code. And with a short code, being able to reply back with a Y or C or a 1 really doesn't necessarily always solve our problem, but being able to text back anything you like, that really does help. And the best part about it, it happens on your own time, right? No different than, me speaking right now. If the phone was to ring, you would probably hit decline. But if somebody was to send you a text message, more than likely you can just reply right back to it. And that's really shown to work very, very well when you connect those dots to a payment transaction. So having that network tokenization to reduce the cost of interchange is obviously something that's very attractive to a lot of businesses. I mean, who wants to pay more simply because they're taking a credit card over the phone when they can use a platform like this actually to reduce costs? Showing that we can actually be agnostic and work with really all the major payment platforms that are out there and acquire. So whether it's a First Data or a WorldPay or Pfizer or an FIS relationship that you currently have today, Everyware is a fully integrated solution that really works well, with all the major, even banks today too as well. So we've been shown actually to work with some of the major banks like Bank of America, where they actually white label our product and make it available to their merchants. So we've had a great success, as far as working directly with Visa, but also directly, working with the banks that have that, that personal relationship, with those local businesses has been really equally as powerful. Having a platform like Everywhere, in addition to the capabilities of that you're going to find with our, communication, you also have the things that, again, that might make sense for you based on your vertical, whether it's simple appointment reminders. We've all experienced those. Getting that appointment reminder, not just when you owe money, but to remind you of your upcoming appointment. So being able to tie in some of the use cases that really impact our daily lives. In addition to that, making sure that the platform itself is a secure environment. We support a ton of healthcare, so being HIPAA compliant, level 1, and for banks that we work with, SOC 2 compliant, has really helped, basically make the system more compatible and comfortable when working with other systems or systems that are considered more higher risk. A lot of the benefits that you'll experience is, in addition to that contactless and that convenient way to transact, with your customer, is that there's no app to download. So it's very easy to get started simply by seeing a text message across your device and clicking on it, without downloading or going to a secure checkout page, has really been something that, basically has been like on others. So we've been able to really stand on our own and provide a very, clean, easy way, in addition to the processing of payment, to show that it's great for like leave behinds. If I pay for something that had a great experience at a restaurant, I can text them back, again, and then they can also text me. Maybe they send me a link that takes me to Facebook or Google to post that positive review. So it's a great leave behind. It's a great way to actually communicate after the fact. And it really works across all verticals, right? It really doesn't matter if you're a service provider in field services, down to, the restaurants, to the healthcare providers. It just seems like this way, or this moment in time, we tend to lean on being able to text someone to get a hold of them versus picking up the phone and calling someone. So it's been shown to really work well and scale fast in a lot of different verticals. Those verticals include automotive and dealerships where, now with a shortage of supply, being able to take down payments and not have to ask for credit cards over the phone, where you can have that consumer, complete that transaction on their own device, including sign in or potentially, sign in actually on their own device to get their signature. Again, showing that we can reduce risk, capture the information that needs to be captured, and do it in a way that basically doesn't require you to be face to face or present a problem where you have necessarily employees taking credit cards over the phone. In retail environments, it's been great, again, for curbside, for those experiences where, we're curbside and you basically don't want to get out or have somebody run in to process a credit card. Having that easy ability to just text someone while they're curbside has been, basically a way to help reduce the risk and also provide a safe environment where, again, if there is another pandemic, God willing not, but you have that capability with a platform like this. In the government, it's been a great tool to actually collect fees, taxes, and fines. So fees, taxes, and fines that normally take weeks or months to collect on, being able to just simply text somebody that they owe you money, give them the convenience to pay now. And then also great programs like buy now, pay later as part of it. So meeting their customer where they are, where maybe they don't have all the money in their pocket today, but getting they collect or something greater than zero, and then being able to issue them installments or the ability to pay, the full amount or another amount at a later time. So I know I only have 10 minutes, so I want to open it up for questions and answers as well. And I believe I'm right at my 10-minute mark, I believe.
Yes, you did great, a great presentation. And I have to say it as a banker, I truly hear what you're saying, because I know some of the things that some of my clients ask for is that where can we find a platform where they can go ahead and collect payments via text? Because especially they saw that with the pandemic, if they were calling to collect a payment, no one was at the office. So he made it a little more challenging. And some of them that didn't have the auto pay or whatever it was, it created a challenge. So congratulations on your site and your program and your business. And we see the benefits on doing that. So
well, thank you so much.
So do we have any questions for Larry?
Yes, it looks like there's one that says, please let me know, Larry, how easy this is to use for events that are mobile, i.e. film festivals, concerts, running events, or other.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, being able to collect that payment, have the conversation, not always give out your personal cell phone number, since we assign a mobile number to your merchant account, in a platform where it can actually allow you to use your own device to communicate on, has been really working well for, events, whether it's for events for weddings or it's events that you're organizing similar to this one. It's been a great asset and a great tool for that. So I know there's gonna be a leave behind that we're gonna send out, after this presentation. And again, feel free to reach out, and we're offering also the ability to have like it's more or less a discount on our platform. And I believe we have like a 60-day free trial that we're even offering for the members of the Valley. So it's a great way to basically, start leveraging and using a platform like this. And again, for 60 days without even coming out of pocket. So, but definitely happy to connect with you and learn more about your industry and some of those use cases that we can help solve for.
Yeah, very good. Now, in your, I know you started this in 2015. What percentage of clients will you say are more on the health, on the government? How will you break that down?
Yeah, I would say before the pandemic, it was maybe 10% healthcare. And then now it's over 50% healthcare. It was just, obviously healthcare has so many different legs and verticals within it. And it's been just a big, wave. You see the shift mainly from paper statements, where we saw the shift from paper to text, almost happened overnight. And then we just got bombarded with a ton of healthcare providers that were really looking to make this leap or transition into this type of platform, and a great way to communicate, but also just a better way to save money on paper and collect and get paid faster.
Right. That was the feedback I heard from some that were getting to the text. They said the cash flow was much better because the efficiency of collecting the payment, it simplified it for them. Stuff. Other questions?
Yeah, there's another question in the chat says, does this replace the credit card merchant services?
So we have two programs. We have one that can, depend upon who you're with, that can work alongside your current, merchant account. And then we offer another way, which is a merchant account directly set up through Everyware. So depending upon who you're with, when we scope out, in our scoping call, again, if we can keep you on your same merchant account and provide the same value, awesome. And again, if need be, we can open up a new account, a new merchant account with hopefully much better competitive rates.
Okay. So is it an app that you download on your phone? Is that what you do?
No, there's no app to download. So as a merchant to the business themselves, they would basically log on to really a web portal, right? No different than you log it on to your bank portal. You would log on to an Everywhere portal where you would manage all your conversations and manage all your payment transactions. And again, the consumer, they're communicating like they normally do. They're just texting, like you're seeing different examples here on the screen. They're just texting like they normally do. And the great thing about it is that when we put a phone number in our system, the system does a reverse lookup and it gives you like more data points, like who the phone actually belongs to, how long has it been in service, is it backed with a US carrier, again, because we also want to prevent fraud. And this is also a great way to, and again, having that cell phone number, knowing it, if it's a 2-day-old phone or a phone that's been around for 20 years with the same person, there's a good chance that's who, Erica says she is.
Oh, that's great. So another question is, how does this service stack up against Square and Zella?
Yeah, so we've taken the combination of like a Square where, again, Square's providing merchant processing. So they're not providing like a pay by text platform. So, you're still, again, taking those remote payments over the phone, or you're sending customers to a website where you can actually just have them now transact on their own device. And then we'll give you a better competitor rate than Square. So be a little bit less than what you're paying today, with Square. And again, you're getting the two-way text messaging and the ability to collect money this way. That's very convenient. And then for your Zelle, you can also use this for moving money around in ACH transactions. So what Zelle is very much known for is basically for banks, for the ability to send money through ACH. And we also have a program with Everywhere for banks that does it actually in real time. So real-time payments versus ACH. So you can actually move money within seconds versus days. So some of those advantages over a Zelle or a Square.
Yeah, and as the back I was going to say is through the ACH piece too. So they're doing a real time. And now some banks actually have a payment solution accounts, ISO accounts. Some do, and they're able to work with groups to simplify it and collect that. Any other questions for Larry?
Nothing in the chat.
Well, Larry, thank you so much for the information. Please feel free to hang in because there's additional questions I may have. Great presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you with that. And our next speaker will share with us earning, how to help earning great reviews. Emily Washcovik. She is a Yelp Senior Field Marketing Manager and Small Business Expert. Emily is responsible for building a thriving network of local business owners, operators, and marketers through education and networking events, now exclusively virtual, as we discussed, which is very important nowadays. She hosts events and webinars to provide business owners with resources that help them succeed and grow in the world of online reviews. Emily's expertise lies in customer engagement, reputation management, and all things digital marketing. Her knowledge encompasses countless industries and through leadership and speaking engagement. She is able to share insight that businesses, owners of all kinds can leverage for the future of their business. Emily is also a host of Behind the Review, a podcast from Yelp and entrepreneur media that features conversations with business owners and reviewers about their experiences. Whether positive or negative, she's able to help them out, giving listeners behind the scenes insight and real life learning. So with that, Emily.
Thank you. Let me just get my slides up here for you all to take a look at. And you will have access to a copy of these slides, so don't feel like you need to ferociously scribble things down. You'll be able to reference all of this. Just as a little precursor, I do a presentation called 5-Star State of Mind that typically lasts an hour. It's about 45 minutes of content with Q&A at the end. I'll include a link to that recording and the learnings and takeaways so that they can be shared with you. But today I'm just going to do a brief truncated version of that. I'm going to do the 15-minute overview. So you'll have access to both. Don't feel like you're missing anything. I'm just not getting as in the weeds with tons of examples. The other thing I wanted to point out is I obviously work for Yelp, and I'm going to be showing you steps and actions you can take on our platform, but I'm also going to educate you about reputation management in general. So a lot of the takeaways that I'm going to share can be applied to any online platform where you receive reviews, Google, TripAdvisor, if you have an industry platform. So keep that in mind. Also, everything that I do at Yelp is related to free tools. So I'm not talking at all about any paid product. Everything I'm going to cover today is something that you can do for free just by simply logging into business.yelp.com. We'll get there in a second. First, I just wanted to share my email with you all. I've been presenting on behalf of this company for nearly 8 years. I give my email out at every presentation. So people reach out to me all the time from all around the country with tons of random questions. You do not need to feel shy about that. If you have a personal question that you don't want to ask today, or if you want to take a look at your account one-to-one, shoot me a note. If I'm not the right person to talk to you, I will find the right person at the company for you. My podcast was mentioned. I think I would be remiss to not mention it again in this presentation because so many of you probably want to hear that firsthand experience from a business owner. My podcast is in partnership with Entrepreneur Magazine, and it'll be 2 years running in November. So we have over 70 episodes. Every single episode features a conversation with a reviewer and then the business owner that they wrote a Yelp review for. So we storytell how that business experience is being created and translated to customers, how that then turns into online reviews, what motivates customers to write online reviews, everything under the sun when it comes to how consumers and business owners connect digitally is covered on this show. If you hold your camera over that QR code, it's going to open whatever podcast platform you use. We're on every podcast platform imaginable. You can just search for Behind the Review. All of the advice that I'm going to give is based on a lot of those opportunities that I've had to meet business owners, hear what they do, and really get into the nitty-gritty of how our tools are effectively worked in their day-to-day life. I think the first step, though, anytime we're talking about achieving a great online reputation, it's all about mentality. So many business owners I know get obsessed with perfect 5-star ratings or getting as many reviews as they can, and they don't actually care about what an online reputation is built of, how you continue to maintain it, and where it goes. So what I want to talk about briefly here is the active decision to listen to what people are saying about you online and then take a role in that conversation. So right now, you might hear from customers, friends, family members about how you're doing and what their opinions of your business are. But if you're not logged into all of your review platforms, be that Yelp, Google, TripAdvisor, industry-specific ones, you might be missing some really great insights from people who already know and love you. So when it comes to Yelp reviews, everything that you can manage is all found at business.yelp.com. Super easy link. Super easy to remember. And when you get to business.yelp.com, you'll see a screen that looks just like this. There's a button to manage your page. There's also a button to log in. And if you haven't yet added yourself to Yelp, you can do that as well. All of these actions are free to do, and they give you tons of opportunity in your profile to effectively communicate who you are and what you offer. So definitely head to business.yelp.com. But one thing I wanted to point out here is, do you see these little tabs at the top? So products, industries, support, and resources. These are going to be very, very helpful sections if you want more information about Yelp. The resources tab, for one, has a couple of subsections. One is called events, and one is the podcast. So that's where you can find more detailed information, sessions, webinars, anything related to Yelp is all there on business.yelp.com. Okay, I want you to ask yourself this question: do I embrace customer feedback? And the example I always like to give is, let's say you were in the line at the grocery store and you heard someone, a couple people up, talking about your business, and they obviously didn't know that you were in line. Would you take that claim to fame, both positive and negative, and introduce yourself or join the conversation to get that feedback? I think a lot of people would say that they would, but some people might want to hear what the person is saying before they decide to claim it. And so I want you to think of all of the opportunities that you have in your business, for example, to connect with customers and how valuable that connection can be. And then think about how that translates online. So when you think about your online reputation, a lot of business owners are fearful of the negative. They tell me, well, Emily, I don't engage with my online reviews because that's just where people go to complain. I work with my customers, I get feedback from them, I ask them after they work with me how they felt about the service, but I don't want to look at those online sites because that's where a lot of customers go to write negative things. On Yelp, that's actually not true, not even remotely true. Nearly 80% of our reviews are neutral to positive, and there's more 5-star reviews than 1, 2, and 3-star reviews combined. And that's really important because you as a business owner might remember the 1, the 2, the handful of negative reviews that you have, but that's not really the entire picture of this site. And that's review sites in general. I think a lot of people think of them as a place that consumers complain, but oftentimes as a business owner, you're focused on the critical and you're not even looking at or taking advantage of all the positive that's out there. This book is a great book for any of my readers out there. It's called Hug Your Haters. And Jay Baer really talks about, if you're going to engage digitally with your customers, you need to be effective at doing it everywhere. So you need to answer every complaint in every channel every time. That seems like a big feat. That's a lot to really get under your belt, especially considering all the other things you're probably already doing to run your business. So let's make it simple. The first thing you can do is set up Google Alerts. It's free. Just Google Alerts. It'll walk you through how to set it up. You can set it up for your name, for your business name. I personally have Google Alerts for my name, as well as some other topics like online reviews, reputation management. You can even change how often you get these updates. But the point of turning on Google Alerts for your business name, for example, is to see the places that you're mentioned in addition to the core places that you probably pay attention to. So you might already pay attention to Yelp and Google and your website if you have a testimonial section there. But how can you ensure that you have triggers in place where if someone talks about you somewhere else, you can find out about it? Now, once you're gathering all that data, be it reading your Yelp reviews and your Google reviews, asking customers what they thought about their experience, that's when you want to start identifying trends and themes in that information. And again, this is super, super important because what we're trying to get ahead of here is only focusing on critical. And if you look at positives as a way to glean insights from your customers, you're going to really have a better relationship with your online reputation in general. So think of reviews as a place to find out what you're doing well or what you should keep doing. You can also use it as a way to see if there's a perspective that you have that's different from your consumers. And I think you'd be surprised how often that happens. I'll give you a quick example. I used to work with a guy who owned a tapas restaurant in San Francisco. He had never been in restaurants before. He was a business guy. He was really just opening this as a passion project. And so everything was kind of a little experiment. When they started, they had a dish that was 3 jumbo meatballs for $15. People would order it, loved it, whatever. They changed their menu format a couple months in, and meatballs became a la carte. $5, you could choose how many you wanted to order. They started getting tons of reviews about how the meatballs were overpriced, et cetera, et cetera. It's the exact same price as when it was 3 for 15, right? But the way that it's promoted to the customer is different, 1 for 5. So they changed it back. They stopped getting those reviews. And that was just one example of consumer perception versus business reality. So remember that when you're looking at online reviews, even if you are digging into critical, you don't want to always get defensive and think about why they're wrong. You maybe want to use it to better understand the perspective of someone who spent money at your business. Now, when it comes to managing our reputation, it's not just about listening, right? That's the first part, listening, hearing what people are saying about you and gathering data or information. But the second part is joining the conversation. And remember, we're not joining the conversation to necessarily get into a back and forth with this specific consumer. We're doing it as a way to gain consumer trust and stand out. What do I mean by that? Think of all the businesses or brands that you might patronize or support because they have great customer service. A lot of us do that. A lot of us love going to businesses that care about us as consumers. Responding to reviews is a baseline way to display to your customers that you care about customer experience and you care about feedback, right? Not responding to a review online is almost the same as someone coming into your business, sharing their criticism, and you just looking at them, point blank, deadpan. You wouldn't do that, particularly if there was another customer in the store, right? You would want to have them hear how you worked through that, how you took the feedback and maybe improved or made a change. So think of that same mindset when it comes to your online reviews. We don't want to necessarily be responding to get into a back and forth. We want to use online reviews as a way to reflect who we are as a business and to show our customer service practices. So in order to do that, we need to have a strategy. We need to make sure that we're not just out here waiting to react. We have a plan before something happens. And to start with a strategy, we need to make sure that we have a plan for what happens most often, which is positive. And the biggest missed opportunity that business owners make when it comes to their online reputation is not responding or engaging with positive reviewers, thinking that the only time you need to do something is when someone's upset. Huge missed opportunity, because all of the people who write you a great review love you. That's a relationship worth deepening, right? So taking a second to respond to that review is crucial. If you have the time to do it publicly and write a sentence or two that is unique to that reviewer, maybe re-emphasizing something that they loved or mentioned, that's a great way to do a public comment. If you don't have time and you're planning on using the same message every time a positive reviewer leaves you a note, for example, thanks so much, we can't wait to see you next time, you would maybe want to send that as a direct message because you don't want to look canned or repetitive on the front end of your account. You want to look personable, right? The other thing to note when it comes to a strategy is when you're replying to when you're replying to positive reviews, all of the keywords and phrases that you use in your public comment help you appear in search results. So let me explain what I mean. If I do a search for Mexican food on Yelp and my partner does a search for fish tacos, we're going to see relatively similar results. However, the search for fish tacos is going to prioritize businesses that have fish tacos mentioned in their reviews, in photo captions, etc. So all of the words on your Yelp page impact how you show up. And the way you can impact the words that are on your Yelp page is by replying to reviews or adding captions to images you upload. Both are free ways for you to add the keywords and phrases that you care about. Hope that makes sense. The other thing you want to do with positive reviews is amplify the positivity. So whether it's sharing a review of the week or review of the month on social, or if you have a place on your website where you share reviews from different platforms, you want to make sure that these reviews live on. Essentially, reviews are your earned media, right? You didn't pay people to say this great stuff about you. They shared a firsthand consumer experience. But how can you take that and spread it across the audience that you're already connected with to maybe encourage them to use your business, come back, repatronize you, or even share their own experience in the form of a review? Let's break down critical reviews because these are the ones everyone's worried about, but I put them into 3 different buckets, okay? The first is legitimate. And this happens to everyone, right? I mean, I was telling this story all year, this past year, because I was really upset about it, but I've gotten over it by now. I had a dentist that I just loved. They were right by my office in Chicago. I always had a great experience with them for years. Now I don't go into the office. So when I had these appointments, I was making a special trip just to my dentist, which was fine because I love them so much. But twice during the pandemic, they canceled my appointment day of when I was already on my way. Now, you guys, this was not their fault. One time, my tech had a COVID exposure, so she couldn't come to work. And one time, they had accidentally double scheduled. So they made a mistake, right? But they're humans. All of us have mistakes that happen in our businesses or less than 5-star experiences that sometimes get felt by our consumers. So the best thing you can do with a legitimate review like that is to respond publicly and humanize your brand. Take responsibility for what happened and then talk about how you're going to fix the problem. And actually, both times, my dental provider did a great job one-to-one with me, and I can't write reviews. It's a conflict of interest, but I did see some other reviews that have been popping up on their page in the past year about this problem. And again, it's a COVID problem. It's not my dentist problem, but as a consumer, it impacts you. And so by them getting those reviews and taking a second to respond in a human and empathetic way that describes exactly what happens, they build that consumer trust, right? And they also put into question the critical review because it's just a human error, if you will. So think of that when you think of legitimate critical reviews. Sometimes it's worthwhile to take credit for what went wrong and talk about what the experience should have been or how you're working towards that in the future. Inaccuracies in reviews certainly happen, but when it comes to you responding publicly, the only time you want to correct an inaccuracy is if it directly impacts future consumers. Let me point that out again. So if it's related to price, or a special, or offerings, or things of that nature, and other consumers need to know about it, worth getting into in a public comment. What I don't want you doing is getting into a back and forth argument or dialogue with a critical reviewer about minute details that really don't impact future consumer experiences. So think about that when you do that public comment towards a review that you think has some inaccuracies in it. The last is going to be a rant or a rave. We've all seen these types of reviews, right? They actually stand out like a sore thumb if we're being honest. And we have to remember that. A lot of consumers are very smart. They're going to see a critical review amongst a sea of positives that have a lot of consistencies in them. And that will already stand out as an outlier to them. But for you as a business owner, the easiest way to determine if it's worth your time or not to reply to is to simply click on the user's name. So on Yelp, you can see a full breakdown of every review they've written and the star rating. Some people are just negative Nancy's, and it has nothing to do with your business. But what I want to tell you here is not only are consumers smart, but we also have to remember that perfect 5-star pages don't always perform better than a 4, 3.5, or 4.5-star page. Sometimes these critical reviews help build buying confidence and trust. But the only time that you will not win by responding publicly is if this person clearly is one of those outliers. So in that case, it might make sense to send a direct message, or sometimes you just don't reply at all. And as a business owner, I need you to remember that This is emotional, right? Anytime someone gives you reviews or feedback, it feels personal. And so, in order to do it effectively, you need to remove the emotion and be strategic. So, these three steps were given to me by a business owner years ago. He always told me, Emily, I always have to pause and take a minute. Sometimes, even a 5 or a 4-star review that has a critical sentence in it can set me off. And so, I need to step away. The next thing is to take the high road. As the business owner or the business leader, it's your job to respond in a professional manner. And if you can't do that, then it's not worth it to respond. The last thing you want to do is respond in a way that shows you might not be the trustworthy source or that you might be cause of issue. So remember to take the high road. And lastly, take comfort in knowing you cannot please 100% of your customers 100% of the time. That's the cost of doing business. And from the time you went into business, you knew that mistakes could happen. So we need to remove the emotion, and sometimes we need someone else to get involved. So if you're writing a response and you're not sure if it sounds good, have someone on your team read it. Email it to me. I edit responses for business owners all the time. But what you don't want to do is get back and scream on that keyboard in a way that makes consumers question your motives on the platform. This here is just an example of how consumers can update reviews. And the reason I always show this is because responding, even if it's not publicly, can still result in this turnaround experience. And many business owners have told me that in their personal experience, consumers who are upset that they reach out to and make amends with sometimes end up being the biggest people who promote their business, the biggest fans. So keep that in mind, that sometimes it takes the time, energy, and effort to talk to these consumers, but they can end up being huge brand advocates for your business. The last point I want to make before I open it up to some Q&A is that on Yelp, we have a very strict policy against soliciting or asking for reviews. The reason we do this is because we want an even and fair playing field for all business owners. It wouldn't be fair, for example, if Starbucks could pay everyone $1 for a review and Joe's coffee shop down the street couldn't. And actually paying for reviews is against the FTC. So definitely don't do that. That's not just a Yelp thing. But asking for reviews is where Yelp draws the line. And that can be confusing sometimes because other sites might not only tell you to ask, but they might give you the resources to do so. So keep that in mind, that if you are asking for feedback from your customers, you're not directly asking them to write a Yelp review. Yelp has an algorithm in place that checks reviews against dozens of signals. And one of them is if you are soliciting or asking for reviews. So let's say, for example, you send out a newsletter and you ask people to write Yelp reviews and you link to your Yelp page. That could be a reason that a lot of reviews move to that not recommended section. So you want to avoid that. You can come back to this do's and don'ts checklist if you do have questions about what is or isn't allowed. Included that there. And then lastly, I wanted to remind you all that once you strategize and once you put a plan in place for engaging with your reviews, I promise that you will start to see those trends and bits of information that help you in a much bigger way than the few and far between critical feedback that you get. So remember, listening to your customers isn't about waiting for them to say critical things. It's about getting in the mind of the people who are spending money with you and figuring out what you're doing really well and what you could maybe improve upon. I'll throw this up here again so that you have my email address if you want to jot it down. We also have a social account on Instagram and Twitter with tons of great tips and advice and features of local business owners. And then we have business.yelp.com, which I showed you earlier, where you can go back and watch tons of different presentations or bits of advice that our audience and community have built. I hope I didn't go too far over. Let's see if we have some questions here.
Well, thank you, Emily. It was very informative. And I know, as you mentioned with Yelp, especially I have two sons that, are young adults. They really look at Yelp every time they're going to go ahead and look for restaurants or traveling or things like that. That is their go-to. They go through that, say, okay, here it is. What does it say? What are they doing? And pretty much the choices that they make or fine chooses in based on the review. So as you mentioned, it is a very, very important tool, very useful information, very important information for businesses to continue to thrive. But I also do appreciate your comments about to acknowledge when it's not necessarily the best review, recognize it, because I think I've seen business owners when they don't get a review that's great, and I'll point out, well, look, they're kind of saying the same thing I brought up to you, except I didn't put it in writing. I'm giving you a chance to fix it, and they go, well, that's not a good member. Well, no, we're trying to help you get better. So some people just get, they get very defensive versus handling it. So your presentation and taking ownership of it, take a minute, like you're saying, breathe, all that was wonderful. So I really appreciate your input and recommendations on that. So with that, we're opening it to questions. Any questions for Emily?
Looks like Emily, you got a 4.5 review today.
Yay, thank you.
And then they asked if we could go back to the presentation on the do's
Yeah.
and don'ts. And then I'm
You
also
got
going to post the presentation on our website too, so everybody will get a copy of it.
Yes, it
You
was
got it.
very, very informative. Just, me too, a quick question. When someone puts a negative review that it's affecting the business, and we know in some cases it really does, and it was from someone that's not quite a legit, it's just the way the stage are. How long, and I apologize, how long does it last in their page? Is there a time frame? I know my friend was trying to figure out how to have it removed because he did prove, look, this is not what happened. It's just someone that's upset. How does that work?
Yeah, so we have a couple of checks and balances at Yelp. Let me quickly get to the slide you all wanted to see as well. So at Yelp, the algorithm is already working to check reviews against a series of requirements. However, we do have a human team as well that evaluates reviews. So I always tell business owners, if there is a review on your listing that you think should not be on the site, we have the flag button. So every review on Yelp, whether you're looking on the front end or you're logged into your business owner's account, business.yelp.com, every review has a flag option on it. When you click the flag button, you'll get a drop down of a number of reasons why you flagged it. And basically, it's the different terms of service and content guidelines that we would remove a review for. So for example, if it is an ex-employee, or if it was a review written for the wrong business, or, there's a number of reasons. And so you can use that drop down, select your reason, that'll get sent to one of our human review analysts, and they will assess if the review should remain on the site or not. Reviews don't ever fall off of Yelp because of a time frame. So it's not like if a review was written before 2010, it won't show up. However, when someone looks at a Yelp page, the way the reviews are ordered, if it's in the standard Yelp sort, is oftentimes going to prioritize reviews based on what the user searched for, as well as time. So it'll show a newer review over an older one if it has the same keyword in it, for example. I'm trying to think of the other part of your question. How can you take reviews down? Flagging. Do reviews go away after a certain amount of time? No. Was there something else that you asked that I didn't address in
Well,
that?
no, how was to remove it, and you addressed it here.
Perfect.
It's basically, you go through a dispute process and someone will review it and analyze it and determine. And I think that's kind of what presenting the case. And eventually they did. They had to remove because they were able to show, but I was curious on steps. And as we're able to see from one of the chats here, based on your information that you provided, they will be taking action on the lingering business problem based on your advice. So thank you. As we pointed out, this is very informative on that. Do we have any other questions for Emily? Erica, do you see other ones that I may be missing?
No, there doesn't seem to be any more.
Okay. Well, perfect. Then your timing was great. So I want to thank again our speakers for today, Larry, Emily. Your information was wonderful, very much needed. And I think it fits with today's environment even more and more as we do more things online. And like I said, we really look at a lot of those reviews. So thank you for that. And with that, I would like to thank everyone that attended, took time out of their busy schedule to be here. So we really appreciate it. So if you own a business and again, would like to get some help in reaching your profitability and grow, then we welcome you to enroll on our free business assistance program by completing an intake form information that Erica just posted on our site. So please go ahead and do so. Don't be shy. There's various sources, including for nonprofit organizations. We work with a lot of different business partners in helping you succeed and achieve and continue. Our next program, join us for our Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Wealth Equity Conference that will be on July 21st at 10 a.m. Speakers will talk about the connection between health and economics, financial literacy, small business startup assistance, and more. So join us, continue to join us and support us. Visit our site, thevalley.net/events. And Erica, again, thank you for posting that and posting with the events. And with that, we conclude our meeting right on time. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the week and stay safe. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.